And now with us, Steve Wyche, joining us on Radio Row. How are you?
I'm good, man. I feel like I'm devaluing the property here.
No.
I mean, coming in after Andrew
You
Whitworth.
get younger, man.
No,
You look younger.
Not at all.
You look younger every year.
I'm trying my best. I'm on that Benjamin Button.
Reverse aging. It's great.
Coverage all week long of Super
Yeah.
Bowl 59 on NFL Network. What's the best storyline of this game?
Ooh. I mean, part of it's the obvious one, trying to see if the Chiefs can stop Saquon, the three-peat, the whole storyline. But I think the Andy Reid conversation, especially, you guys here in New England, right? People are starting
Belichick,
to,
yeah.
people are starting to put him in that. Could Andy Reid become the greatest head coach ever?
Close the gap.
He's closed the gap. He's done it with two franchises. Of course, he's won the Super Bowls with Kansas City. But I don't think we can overlook this. When we see the constant coaching turnover and to have somebody as successful as him be there as long as he is, remake the roster so many times, and to continue to get better, I don't think that's a storyline that should be overlooked.
Yeah, all my time working with Bill, doing TV and radio with him, when we would play Kansas City or back when we played the Eagles, his appreciation for Andy, and he doesn't give a lot of high praise to a lot of coaches. Bill.
Right.
Like, we got to stop this. And he goes, head on a swivel with Andy because we have no clue what's coming. And then when they got Spags, I think that really sealed the deal for them. Like, you worry about the defense, I worry about the offense. Spags is never a threat to leave. He doesn't want to be a head guy. He loves being a defensive
Oh, he'd love to be a head coach.
Yeah, I think they all would because of the money. But I think right now, I'm going to pounce when it's right.
And how about that with Spags? Because other than Stone Cold Jones, right, Chris Jones?
Yeah.
Name me a high-paid player on that Chiefs defense.
Can't.
They don't. They're young. He's developed that secondary, right?
Yep.
Those guys can play.
They draft well.
They're linebackers. They go out and they get Drew Tranquil. I don't know why the Chargers gave him up, but he's a stud. But look at how they develop. Like George Karlaftis is a double-digit sack guy now. This is all development, and this is where Steve Spagnuolo needs to get a lot of credit because, again, the money for the Chiefs is on the offense, not on the defense.
Right.
So when we talk about, we're just talking about the Andy Reid storyline and how he's closing the gap with Belichick, are you surprised that Bill over the last 2 years has not found a way back in? First with Atlanta, obviously, and now this year didn't really draw the interest.
Yeah, I wasn't as surprised in talking with people in the league because, Bill has to do things a certain way, right? I think he's the greatest coach of all time. I think teams are crazy for not bringing him in. I mean, the last couple of years of his tenure in New England didn't go well, but he's got a formula where if you need your building, right, if you're the Jaguars, right, if you need your building kind of put back together, he's got a formula where that works. But I think some people are afraid that if they make that radical, I know this was in Atlanta, that radical of a shift to where they have done things, and him being the age he is, and 3 years later he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. Like, man, we just built this house back up as to where it's on firm foundation, and now he's walking away from it. Do we really want to go through that? And I think that was some of the thinking as to why teams didn't want to go with Bill.
Surprised like the Cowboys, though, didn't kick the tires on that. A team that felt like they were ready to go.
Surprised. Yeah, I think we're always surprised with the Cowboys. That's one where Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones. And I think even though he did it years ago when he was younger with Bill Parcells, I just don't know if right now he wanted to do it with Bill in terms of Bill's a one-voice organization. Everything runs through. Jerry Jones is the one voice in Dallas.
Yep.
I don't understand why these teams wouldn't bring Bill Belichick in. Greatest coach of all time. You talk to people the way he scouted players and scouted players for him, not the talent, but for what he wanted to do. It was so different and light years ahead of what everyone else wants to do in terms of building a team and not just a roster.
Hey, you mentioned Dallas. I'm shocked, from Bill's appreciation for the history of the league.
Right.
When we would go places, we would stop and he'd make us go around certain stadiums, like when we were in Cleveland. You see Jim Brown.
Right.
Cincinnati, the Paul Brown, and what they've been able to do. Chicago.
Yeah.
And to see the history there. How does Chicago not go after him? You get the young quarterback. You're in disarray. What's the other one? Vegas. Vegas would have been great for him.
I think Las Vegas would have been great. And you see how they went with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, and I love Pete.
Right, Pete's energy is going to be great for that franchise. I think that's the best coaching hire that we saw this offseason in terms of getting a building together, right? Yeah. But I don't see why Bill couldn't do it. Everyone tried to connect the dots with Tom and him and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know if it was the money. Pete Carroll's not coming cheap, right? No. So that's an interesting one. I thought with Bill, but that's when Bill said, I'm going to go to UNC. I'm not playing these games. Yeah. Let me go build a program. Because college programs are just like the NFL. They're hiring capologists now in college football.
Yeah.
Like, it is that serious in terms of how the structure of the NCAA football is going, so much like the NFL. And that's why I think Bill's going to succeed.
There's a lot of people high on Drake May in New England because there's not a lot to be high about right now when it comes to the Patriots. But how does the rest of the league view Drake May?
He's a stud. Like, he's that guy. And I had the good fortune when they played over in England, and I want to say it was a second start over there against the Jags.
Yep.
And just doing the production meeting with him. And you know this, like you know dudes who have that ish about them.
Yeah.
And he may come off as kind of a little howdy-doody, and for those young folks, very kind of, hey, kind of, I'm homey, nice, the type of guy you want your daughter to marry. He's got that stuff to him. Right, you could tell if you had to scrap, you want him by your side because he could probably kick the hell out of whoever you're going
And he's a good kid. He's competitive. I like when he's competitive. We did this ping pong. We had to go to this ping pong event last night to interview him.
Yeah.
So he ended up winning the ping pong event. He beat Micah Parsons. He beat Kirk Cousins. And they're all asking him for his phone number. And I'm like, this is like, okay.
How about that?
Maybe this is like a sign, a changing of something here. But
And he went easy on them.
He feels like he belongs.
Did.
You know, he feels like he belongs with these ilk, with this ilk.
He's got it to him.
Yeah.
And going through what he went through last year, I mean, again, that can damage people.
Sure.
I think he's Teflon in that. Like, okay, whatever. I went through it. I don't need a redshirt year. Yep. I don't think he's going to handle it like, well, that sucked, like maybe what Trevor Lawrence went through with Urban Meyer. I think he's going to handle it like, you know what? This is a pillar I'm building the rest of my career on. Because, again, he's got his whole family, the bloodline, genetically, he's got
Crazy,
that in him. But I think mentally, going through that is going to make him so much tougher and so much stronger. And that's a dangerous thing for the rest of the league.
Catch Steve Wyche all week long. NFL Network reporting here from New Orleans ahead of the Super Bowl. We really appreciate you coming by.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And don't forget, Philadelphia's in this game.
Yeah, right.
Philly's in this game. Don't sleep on them.
No, not at all. They're here for a reason.
I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people are.
That's
a good team.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.